What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bulls Fishing. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Today I want to do a quick little video on my rod and reel setup, or rod and reel arsenal going into the 2024 season. I usually wait to do this until probably like the first week in January. That's what I've did them in the past. But I have recently, literally just last week, got my last shipment of that I was waiting on from 13 Fishing and I figure I'd go ahead and make this video in case you were, maybe, so Santa Claus is coming, here in the next few weeks. So if you want to ask for, a rod, and you like the rods I fish, then, maybe this will push you towards that. But, I will do a separate video on why I switched. I recently was fishing. I switched everything over to Cash and Icon rods. And then I've made the switch back to 13 Fishing. I fished 13 Fishing probably for a good 3 to 4 years. And now I was like, well, I want to try, let's just give Cashin, a shot. I have used Cashin a few in the past, here and there. And I was like, you know what? I want to make the switch completely over. So let's switch over to Cashin, give them a shot, and then, we'll see how it goes from there. Again, I'm going to do a separate video on why I switched. So right now, it's strictly my new setup from 13 Fishing. And guys, y'all don't understand, when making this type of switching out your whole arsenal, it takes a hurt on the wallet. So if you're going to do this, my suggestion is make the jump and do it, and then stick with it for definitely more than a year. Again, I'll touch on that in the other video of why I didn't keep those longer, the casting rods. But it is a lot, especially if you're, you're tournament fishing. You have a lot of rods. You're pretty much, your rods are your living, and that's what I'm trying to get to. It takes a hurt on the wallet. So I'm not going to go off into the weeds anymore. Yes, I've officially switched back over to 13 Fishing. As you can see here, kind of ironic, I'm actually wearing this hoodie today. But we're just going to jump right into it. I'm just going to go down kind of my rod and reel setup. And a quick disclaimer, guys, I'm not going to dive into my line and all that jazz. Up front, on all my rods and reels, all my setups, I have 15-pound J-braid Daiwa, or J-braid by Daiwa. It's the braid line they have. They have a couple different levels of it, but I use the J-braid. And I use 15-pound J-braid to usually in between 8 to 12-pound Seaguar and VizX fluorocarbon. I've been using that literally probably since I really jumped in heavy my first go around into bass fishing, and I haven't really switched since. I love the way braid fishes. I know it's a pain in the butt for some people, but I have came over that, especially in the kayak fishing. You're already, being in a smaller and lighter boat, you're already giving, whenever you go to set that hook, you're already giving that fish a little bit extra, so you need a little bit extra backing to it. So that's why a lot of kayak fishermen go to braid to a fluorocarbon leader. So without further ado, let's just jump into this puppy right here. I'm going to start out with my most confident rod and my most confident bait. That's going to be my spinning setup. This is what, if you just saw my previous video, my shaky head is set up. This is a 13 Fishing Feint V3. I'm sure you're going to read that backwards. But again, guys, I use the Feint V3 when they first came out. I actually still have, you'll see it on my fish head spin rod here. It's that same rod that I had whenever these first came out. These are starting to phase out. They're selling out the remaining they have in stock on both 13 Fishing and Tackle Warehouse, and I'm sure other retailers around that still have these Feint 3 rods. I love the rods. I always loved them whenever I had them before, so I switched everything over to Feint V3. Again, they are phasing them out, but you can still get your hands on them. They are coming up with another line to replace this. It may be another Feint V3 name. It just may be a different color or different style or whatever you want to call it. But this one is my shaky head rod. I will always have this on me. Just like I said in the previous video, I always have a shaky head tied on 110%. That is my most confidence bait. That is the bait I'm usually fishing 90% of the time. I always have it. It's just it's my comfort zone here. This is a Feint V3, and it's going to be a 6'7" medium fast. So it's a medium action, so I can use it for drop shot, shaky head. It's more finesse. I can actually throw a Ned rig on here too. It's more my lighter, finesse rod, and I love fishing finesse. So this is what's in my hand 90% of the time. It is paired up with a Daiwa reel. Again, I don't know if I said this previously. All my reels are Daiwa. I've used Daiwa for probably since 2008. And I've never had any issues with Daiwa reels. I love them. Let's just leave it at that. Thank you, Tim Hawkins at Hammond's Fish, for pushing me into Daiwa, getting started out, because I haven't really steered away since. But that is my shaky head rod. That is the one that's going to be in my hand 90% of the time. Moving on over to my next, pretty much I'm always going to have tied on, is a good old Z-Man jackhammer. If you do not fish a jackhammer, you are truly missing out. This thing catches fish. I don't care what color you have on. Right now I have a green pumpkin jackhammer tied on. I don't care what you have on. This bait always catches fish, and it tends to be bigger fish. This is paired up on another 13 fishing feint V3. This one's going to be a 7-foot medium heavy. Okay, I know a lot of people may fish a jackhammer on a different rod. I've always fished on medium heavy, and I never had really no issues. Again, paired up with a Daiwa Tatula reel. Phenomenal. If you have never tried Daiwa Tatula reels, you definitely need to do it. Moving on, I'm just going to go ahead and do it since it's right here. I've already took my rod sleeve off of it. This is going to be my jig and swim bait rod. This is going to be a feint V3, 7'5", heavy fast. Okay, I used a heavy fast on my previous rods, previous casting rods, and my previous 13 fishing rods. Never had no issues. I know some people, again, may switch it up or throw a jig on something else, but this is something I'm comfortable with. This is usually I'm hugging around the 7'3" to 7 foot, or 7'1" to 7'3" heavy. This time I'm going 7'5". I think that longer is going to give me a lot more power whenever I go to set that hook in heavy vegetation. Again, it's just paired up with a Georgia Blade jig. Phenomenal jigs. Go check them out. Again, with another Daiwa Tatula. Moving on over to, let's go with the Mac Daddy here. Oh, there goes my top water right there. All right, so this is the feint V3 that I had whenever I first switched over to 13 fishing, probably 4 years ago. This puppy is still going strong. As you can tell, the color is a lot faded, but it's still a 13 fishing feint V3. This one is going to be a 6'7" medium fast. And you're like, that's weird. Yes, it is kind of weird. I actually, whenever I throw there for a while, I went through a phase where I threw a shaky head on a casting rod, and this is the rod that I had set up on. But then last fall or last winter, whenever I really dove into wintertime fishing and throwing a fish head spin, I always had it tied on this rod, and it was absolutely dynamite. I could feel everything. I could feel every little bump I hit with this fish head spin. And this is another bait that I have tied on constantly throughout the whole year. I know on Lanier, it's a big wintertime bait, but I've caught them in the summertime on a fish head spin too. I think it's a pretty universal bait as well. It is also paired up with a Daiwa Tatula reel. All right, moving on over. Let's go ahead and get the top water out of the way. This is going to be my topwater rod. This is going to be a feint 13 fishing feint V3. This one's going to be 7 foot medium heavy fast. Okay, whenever I switched over to, just last week, I was kind of torn on if I should get a different action, a different feel, different length of a rod. But I went back to the basics. I used to always, if it wasn't a finesse bait, I was fishing a medium heavy. I just feel like a 7 foot or a 7 foot medium heavy, or right in that range. This is a 7'1" medium heavy. I feel like it's a good universal rod all around. So I have switched over to my topwater. As you can see, I got that good old Whopper Plopper in bone color. I have had this thing for probably 3 years. It is going strong. If it ever breaks off, I'm doing everything in my power to get this back. I've had great luck on it. I mean, it is absolutely busted up. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. I mean, it's just, the paint's chipping off, but it's a dynamite bait. Obviously, I can go buy another one, but, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Again, this is my top water rod, 13 fishing Feint V3, 7'1", medium heavy fast. Golly, I keep hitting those rods and they keep falling. I'm getting too fired up over here. All right, moving on over. This is going to be kind of my Texas rig, Tokyo rig. I can also drag a jig with it too, smaller jig. This is going to be I'm just going to name it the Texas rig rod. It's actually got a Tokyo rig on it now. This is going to be a 13 fishing Feint V3, 7'1", medium heavy fast. Once again, medium heavy fast, a good universal rod for sure. Again, I have just a Tokyo rig set up on it now, and this is going to be another Daiwa Tatula reel as well. Again, guys, you're going to see that constantly. All of mine are Daiwa Tatulas. All of them are. I love it. Again, great reel paired up with this medium heavy. Really dynamite right here. And these tips, the tips on these Feint V3s are nice. You can feel everything with it. And last but not least, I have a designated crankbait rod. Okay. I used to not buy specifically a cranking rod, but my last go around, with casting rods, I did buy specifically a cranking rod, and I had great success with it. I felt the action of it. This is going to be, if I don't hook up this crankbait in it, this is going to be a 13 fishing Feint V3, 7'4", moderate, medium heavy power. The tip on this is, you can feel every little thing on it. This rod is actually, when you look up the Feint V3s, which you'll have the link in the description box below, they have a designated cranking rod in this series, and it's absolutely dynamite. As you can tell, the butt of it's a little bit different on this one and the heavy. I'm not sure if they did it on purpose, or since they are phasing them out, this is just one of the ones they had left over to try to make this happen. And this also on another Daiwa Tatula as well. And this one, this is different. So on this reel, it's strictly straight fluorocarbon. I tried that back about 2 years ago on my cranking rods to go straight fluorocarbon, and I had a whole bunch of more hookups since then. So this is the only one. Now again, if this ever goes out, I may line it back up with straight fluorocarbon, or I may just go my traditional braid to fluorocarbon leader and just have a longer leader. But I've had a lot of good, the hookup ratio doing it this way has been a lot more successful than it has going to, I don't know why, but going to the braid to fluorocarbon leader. That is my whole arsenal. Let me see here. All right, there's 7 rods there. Real quick on that, if I'm on flat water, in my boat, I'm always going to have all 7 rods. When I'm on flat water in a kayak, I will most likely have all 7 rods as well. If I'm ever river fishing, and I do my research and it's a smaller, tighter river setup or a tighter river channel, then I may drop down, usually going to drop down to about 4 rods. Really, on the river, I don't like to take more than 4 rods. River fishing is a completely different ball game. You don't need a million different, setups. You can usually get by with 3 to 4 rod setups. I know people that only do two rod setups. That's just something I've always did. I usually hug around the 4. Now, like in my pursuit, when I have horizontal rod storage, then I may throw in an extra rod or 2 just to be on the safe side, but I'm never going to use it. Those are just there in case one of those rods breaks, I lose it, I flip over, I lose that rod or something like that. But strictly, I'm only going to be fishing with 4 rods in the river. And going into 2024, that is going to be kind of my target is strictly rivers. I love river fishing. That's one of my favorite things to do, and so that's why I'm going back to it. And I've had great success, caught a lot of my big fish in the rivers as well. Again, guys, these baits that are set up on here now, they're not always going to be on there. I can guarantee you. Obviously, my crankbait rod's always going to have a crankbait on it. Just may be a different size, different color. Shaky Head's always going to have it set up on that in case I do switch to, a Ned rig or a wacky rig, which I never fish, or or even just a different style of finesse fishing, maybe even a drop shot, then I'll switch it out. But usually when I'm doing fishing a drop shot, it's usually only on larger lakes. And I have a designated rod, just kind of a backup rod that I have on a drop shot, just for the simple fact of switching from shaky head to drop shot. Rigging up a drop shot, it takes a little bit longer, so I do like to have a designated drop shot rod where I don't really, just for the simple fact where I don't have to mess with rigging up a drop shot from a different style, shaky head or going into a drop shot, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, I got kind of off into the weeds there. Jackhammer will always stay on there. I may, because I'm trying to cut down my arsenal. I did have 8 to 9 rods. So I'm trying to cut down where I can. I may use that jackhammer rod maybe for a spinnerbait as well. I usually don't fish a spinnerbait. I did dive into it last year a little bit, but if I do, I will put a spinnerbait on my jackhammer rod or even on my fish head spin rod. Same thing on my jig rod. It's a heavy, okay? So if I'm ever, fishing down south, I need a punch cover. It's going to go to a punching rod. If I ever in the river, I don't want to throw a big swim bait, it's going to get switched over my swim bait rod. So my heavy rod is going to be jig, swim bait, punching, anything heavy or bigger baits and heavier baits, I'm going to throw on my heavy rod. That's just something I'm just going to, convert over versus having just another rod set up for those particular techniques. And really the only other thing is topwater, but it's going to be pretty designated to topwater. So if I ever take off the whopper plopper for, say, a spook, then I'll do that. I'm not going to, there's really no need, in my opinion, there's really no need to have another topwater rod, just unless you just don't like to switch out, which I don't, but I'd rather have one less rod and be able to switch out a topwater, which I use it a lot, but not really as much as, say, my shaky head or something like that. And really, the cranking's going to stay there. And also, I use my Texas rig rod, the 7-foot medium heavy, the Texas rig one that has the the Tokyo rig on it now. That will also be kind of my backup and Universal's top stuff. So I can throw on, again, 7-foot medium heavy. You can use it for just about any bait. So that will also be kind of a backup rod that if I want to switch out to something, I can, guys. Once again, guys, I love 13 Fishing. I always have. I love the people over there. I love who they all represent, and I love the company as a whole. Again, I want to just try out caching, but you'll learn about my whole scenario with them in my next video. So, guys, thank y'all so much for watching. If you have any questions or if you want to find any of these rods, I will have a link to the 13 Fishing page where it has the Faint V3. I felt Tackle Warehouse does have them, but they have limited supply. I felt like 13 Fishing had more supply, so I ordered everything over to 13 Fishing, or ordered from 13 Fishing. Not only that, guys, I ordered it on a Monday, and it shipped on Wednesday, and I got it on Friday. So the turnaround time ordering through, and Tackle Warehouse is great on that too, but my first experience with ordering off 13 Fishing was top notch. Okay, I like it when they ship it fast. I'll just leave it at that. The only downside is they use FedEx, but FedEx has gotten a little bit better, or at least in my area they have. But anyways, guys, if you don't mind, please, again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please drop a comment in the comment section below. If you have another idea, or if I should use one of these rods for something else, please let me know as well, or shoot me over a DM. And let's definitely start the conversation on, guys. So, guys, thank y'all so much for watching. If you don't mind, please like this video, share this video, hit that little bell up top on my channel, so it lets you know whenever I upload a video. And at the end of the day, guys, if you don't mind, please subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it, guys. But thank y'all so much for watching. Stay tuned. I got some more videos in the works right now. I got some more editing to do, so you're going to start seeing a more of an even flow of videos. I know they've been kind of sporadic lately. So stay tuned, guys. Stay classy. It's going to be good. I'm excited about for the future stuff coming up, guys. So deuces.